So we're going to get into these light spectrums because I keep saying that we're light, but nobody can see this light. I'm looking at myself. I don't see the light. I don't understand. I'm looking at this person. I'm looking at this table. I'm looking at my computer screen. It looks like a computer screen. It doesn't look like light. Everything exists as an electromagnetic frequency. And because human beings can only see a very small piece of that frequency, we assume that things aren't happening around us. But if you could see all the light spectrums at once right now, you'd probably freak out because you'd see things moving around your room. You see probably even beings and entities walking around. So the word of the week is electromagnetic spectrum. We're going to talk about this for a minute. The electromagnetic spectrum describes all wavelengths of light, both seen and unseen. What did Nikola Tesla say? What did Nikola Tesla say in the beginning of this workshop? We have to just start to understand the unseen. That's where the secret to advancing ourselves is. It's in the unseen. We will advance in all years of sciences combined. Light is a wave of alternating electric and magnetic fields. The propagation of light isn't much different than waves crossing an ocean. What did I just tell you guys? What did I just tell you about riding that wave? Okay, a wave of potentials. We need to be on top of the wave crest, not underneath it, having it crash over us. Like any other wave, light has a few fundamental properties that describe it. One is its frequency, which is measured in hertz, which counts the number of waves that pass by a point in 1 second. Another closely related property is wavelength, the distance from any peak of one wave to the peak of the next. These two attributes are inversely related. The larger the frequency, the smaller the wavelength. Some of you may have heard me talk on Black Magic's podcast, live video podcast before, or other lectures that I've talked about, where I'm talking about DNA resonating frequency and how a human being, based off of where you are consciously, if you're in a low frequency mindset, weakness, hoping, begging, sorrow, fear, those low frequency mindsets creates a much slower and more broad range of oscillations that vibrate across your DNA strands. Longer wavelengths. When you're in a high frequency vibration, excitement, happiness, unconditional love, those frequencies are much shorter, faster wavelength oscillations as they move across the DNA strands. That higher frequency and that higher broadcast frequency allows you to synchronize with the universal consciousness, okay? This is why this is so important, getting into understanding the wavelengths that exist and what it takes to be operating at a high frequency mindset so that you can have high frequency oscillations in your DNA, which link you to closer to real-time discernment and the full power potential in the human avatar body. Right now, you're looking at what we can see: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Looks familiar? It's a rainbow. When you see the clouds outside that take on the prism of water droplets moving over the atmosphere, and you see this rainbow form. You're looking at fractals of light. So the light hits this prism, and then light waves are sent off in specific directions, separating them from that combination so that you can see each individual light for itself. And this is all we can see. Everything you can see in the third dimension is made from this color: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. Everything. That's what your eyeballs have the capability of. Unfortunately, you can't see in multi-spectrum. You can't see in infrared. Let's look at some of the wavelengths. So visible light. The electromagnetic waves your eyes detect in visible light oscillate between 400 and 790 terahertz. That's a small number, guys. I mean, it sounds large, but if you knew what a terahertz was, that's several hundred trillion times a second. The wavelengths are roughly the size of a large virus, okay? About 750 nanometers. 1 nanometer equals 1 billionth of a meter. A meter is about 39 inches long. So our brain interprets the various wavelengths of light as different colors. Red has the longest wavelength and violet has the shortest. When we pass sunlight through a prism, we see that it is actually composed of many wavelengths of light. The prism creates a rainbow by redirecting each wavelength out at a slightly different angle. So, these angles, some people may call them angels, but we're talking about angles of light Let's look at this. We only see 1%, guys. 1%. We don't see gamma rays. We don't see X-rays. We don't see ultraviolet light. We don't see infrared, radar waves, microwaves, television waves, or radio waves. We don't see any of that. All we get is the RBGs, the red, blue, and greens, pretty much is what we get. But animals around us can see in different light frequencies. Some birds can see in ultraviolet. Some insects can see in ultraviolet as well. It's really amazing stuff. I got to pause for 1 second, and I'll be right back. Okay, beautiful. Let's get back into this here. Share screen. Okay. So these are the light waves, like I was saying. We only see a small percentage of these waves of light, okay? We have to really understand that there's so much going on around us. Why can't we see aliens? Some people always ask me. I see a lot of these messages. If they're here, how come we can never see them? Well, what if they're hiding? What if their ships are cloaked in ultraviolet? You can't see that. What if they're cloaked in infrared? What if they're cloaked in the microwave frequency? So they can actually vibrate the exterior of their vessel in these specific waves of frequencies, these radiation frequencies, and thereby making them invisible to human eyes, but can be right in front of you. What if they're wearing a cloaked suit that cloaks in ultraviolet, that cloaks in infrared, radar wave level cloaking technology, and they can walk right around you, right by you, right through you? You wouldn't even be able to see these people, these beings. The technology is so advanced. We're not even a type 0 civilization yet. This is why we can't see a lot of the stuff that's going on. Physics.org. Again, guys, I like to back up what I'm telling you by science, because we're talking about manifesting, and I want you to understand from a subatomic level, you know, what's happening and what powers you have, what capabilities you have, how time, frequency, energy, vibration, the universe, how it all works, how it comes together, how you download and participate in this reality with this. This is where we're moving toward, and how you can use it to manifest things into reality, not just things that, you know, don't have matter or solidity, but things that we perceive to have solidity. Scientists discover how to turn light into matter after an 80-year quest. Imperial College London physicists have discovered how to create matter from light. Guys, what's talked about in my book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets? What's talked about in my book? Thoth talks about turning light and vocal frequencies, cymatic frequencies, into solid matter. This is 36,000 years old. This just discovered a year ago. Guys, I hope you're paying attention. And why is this important? Because this is important because if you understand that light can turn things into solid matter, then you can understand that the light coming out of your skull when you think can turn something into solid matter as well, can manifest into this reality. Thought waves of light, of electromagnetic potentials, can manifest into solid physical things. In just one day, over several cups of coffee in a tiny office in Imperial Blackest Physics Laboratory, 3 physicists worked out a relatively simple way to physically prove a theory first devised by scientists Brate and Wheeler in 1934. Brate and Wheeler suggested that it should be possible to turn light into matter by smashing together only 2 particles of light, by getting 2 light particles to connect. To create an electron and a photon, the simplest method of turning light into matter ever predicted. The scientists had been investigating unrelated problems in fusion energy when they realized what they were working on could be applied to Brate and Wheeler's theory. The breakthrough was achieved in a collaboration with fellow theoretical physicists from Max Planck Institute for Nuclear Physics, who happened to be visiting the Imperial basically that day. So these scientists were sitting there, and they were contemplating this theory, and then they were doing another experiment that could potentially have had the same result and outcome. And when they sat down and had a cup of coffee and interjoined their own electromagnetic frequencies with each other, they came up with a conclusion or solution or the reality that this was possible and it could happen, and they were able to actually duplicate that thought experiment into real life and turn light into physical matter. We are manifesting everything into the third dimension through this process already. That's why you have clothes on. That's why you're living in something that has structure. That's why you have shoes or a TV to watch or a cell phone or a tablet to look at this presentation, or light bulbs in your house to turn on lights and off lights. All this stuff started as a light wave and then became a physical object in the third dimension. I'm going to show you how that works shortly. Contemporary science tells us that the universe is made up of energy, matter, and light. I talked about this before earlier, this Emerald Tablet press release. So I'm going back to this to show you what I'm, just to reiterate. So I talked to you about this earlier, this alchemically converting light into things. And I'm just bringing this screen back up, this slide back up so that you can see it again and realize, oh, wow, this is what he was talking about at the very beginning of this workshop. We're talking about alchemically converting light into other things. How does this work? Okay. I have in my hand here a remote control for a TV. Okay. Now, this remote control for this TV started off as an electromagnetic wave of light. How? How is that possible? What do you mean it started off as a wave of light? Well, in a person's mind, they thought about this particular remote control. In their mind, it floated around in this sea of light frequencies that exist. And these light frequencies said, okay, I want this to be this shape, this size, this feel, buttons that look like this. Okay, this is how I want this remote control to appear and look in the third dimension in physical reality. But right now, it's just floating around in this sea of potentials in electromagnetic waves of light. This light comes out of the skull into space-time, and that information transcends space-time. So now somebody else can also, anywhere in the universe, can capture that wave that you just emitted into space-time. They can download it on another planet in another galaxy, and they can come up with the idea that they want to create a remote control like this. However, so this starts off on the consciousness platform. We're talking about platforms. The term platforms has nothing to do with, or we're using it now for social media and videos, and their platform is the original platform. We're talking about the consciousness platform, the wave of light platform. This is where this existed first, floating around in a wave of potentials. Then when you think about it hard enough and long enough, you say, okay, I want to manifest this wave of potentials, these lights that are floating around that look like a remote control. I want to manifest it into a two-dimensional platform, because that's the next step. So I take my wave of potentials of this remote control, and I then transcode it with my hand onto a piece of paper, and I sketch it out. Now it's a two-dimensional object. I can also take it and put it into a computer for CAD design, computer-assisted design, which again may look 3D in the computer, but it's two-dimensional. So I've gone from the consciousness wave of light platform and simplified it into a two-dimensional platform so that I can tweak the ins and outs of it. Now it's in a two-dimensional platform. How do I get it into a third-dimensional reality when somebody can actually physically touch it? Well, the CAD designer transmits the data of this two-dimensional platform object to an engineer. That engineer takes that two-dimensional data, and then he or she creates a three-dimensional space-time object that has an XYZ axis that can move around in space-time, that can be picked up and touched, and has functionality that operates other third-dimensional space-time objects. So the process to get this remote control to manifest into the third dimension is the same process I talked about previously in a few slides ago, where conscious light waves coming out of your skull, these are light waves of light, turned into a physical object. If you understand what I'm telling you, if you understand this, man, you'll know that you can do anything. You will believe that you can manifest anything you want. Why? Because you're turning light into physical objects nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If we weren't doing it as human beings, there would be nothing here. We would be walking around butt naked and living in the forest and we wouldn't even have tools to use because they wouldn't exist. You see? Everything that man has put on this planet started out as a result of a wave of light that we converted that light into physical objects. You wouldn't even have a car if you have a car. You wouldn't be able to get on a bus or a train if this process wasn't working all the time. We are already converting light to matter. Already. And it's just a matter of now being aware that you can convert light to matter. Being aware that you can manifest things into your reality tunnel that you want to exist. And understanding the process I've been teaching you from the beginning of this workshop till now. It's a process of understanding why 3 times 3 is 9, why 2 times 2 is 4. You know, understanding how that works and why to get to the end result, which is manifestation. Because then you can begin to manifest things into your reality that you're looking to manifest. On call. Right now you're doing it and you're a participant with it unknowingly that it's happening. What happens now with this new knowledge and information that you're now learning and studying and you're going to research? Now that you're not just a unwilling participant that's just unconsciously participating, but actually a conscious participant in the outcomes, closer to a real true discernment of the true real time, and able to actively make decisions up to 7 seconds ahead of everybody else in the room. You're living in closer to real time. To them, from their perspective, you're futuristic. You see things coming before they happen. You're aware of what's going to happen before it occurs. You're living at you're pulling down information, and from their perspective at a faster rate. You already know what the next move should be before they can figure out what's going on. This is what this is the power of this, and this is what I utilize in my business life. People have specific skills and talents that they're really well versed at and can apply things to. For me, these techniques I was able to apply to business. Okay. I got to pause for one quick second. Okay, I just had to fix something real quick. Go share screen again. Okay, so hopefully you're beginning to understand and see exactly what I've been trying to tell you from the beginning of this. It's the part that makes you become good at understanding how to resynchronize your brain-heart coherence emotionally. Keep yourself on the right frequency and vibration on a genetic and DNA level, and then how to utilize that higher level frequency to access and tap into your true manifestation power, utilizing the stream of consciousness that's coming into you ahead of what we perceive as real time, and discerning it and having the capability and the understanding of how to manipulate and use it, alchemically convert it into what you need to manifest into your life. I'm just going forward some kind of weird way, sorry. As above, so below. So you see how we learn that the digital world, or the hard-coded matrix, ties in and taps into the non-physical, the spiritual world as well. And this is, to me, a very good representation of that and how it works. Is really amazing to see. You see here a flower of life connecting the two realms together. And the world of science and the world of spirituality actually shouldn't be apart. They should actually go together. The reason why we're suffering and not tapping into our full potential is because we're not understanding the physics and the science behind the spirituality. So either we're already spiritual, we're already eternal, but we're not understanding how it links up with science and physics. So it's haphazardly being used, and sometimes we're getting results and sometimes we're not. And when you understand the science behind it, you can then increase your consistency of the outcome that you're looking for. In other words, I played basketball before, right? So my claim to fame was I was a phenomenal 3-point shooter. I still am, I like to think, at least. And also a great free throw shooter as well. My free throw percentage was 90%, pretty good. Now, people would come to the line, in practice. This is as a youth. And some of the kids, as we go around the horn to do our free throw drill, they just get the ball and they just chuck it up there. Get the ball and chuck it up there. And I used to be like, wow, man, why are they they're not even focusing on the right technique, the fundamentals of shooting a free throw to give themselves a chance to get a higher percentage. It was like, it's like just chance. It's like, oh, let's see if this one goes. Let's see if this one goes. I'm getting the ball and I'm taking my consistent dribble, and then I'm getting my knees bent. I'm getting my back bent to a specific angle that I like. I'm getting my elbow tucked in. I'm getting the elbow aimed directly at the rim. I'm getting my hand perched back. The ball is sitting on my fingertips, and the other hand is just a guide, and I'm reaching up over and I'm reaching into the cookie jar, and I'm giving myself a full extension and a chance, based off of all of that, a better chance to make that free throw, because I'm utilizing and understanding the fundamentals and the process that it takes to get to a higher percentage of the free throw, the ball going through the net, versus other people that are just chucking the ball up and hoping that by chance it goes in most of the time. You see what I'm trying to say? This is where we have to get to. This is the level of consciousness that we have to get to and understand. In the manifestation process, there's a whole thing that needs to occur when you're trying to manifest things into reality. The first thing is you have to be specific about what you're trying to manifest. You can't just haphazardly say, I want this, and that's enough. And that because I just said I want this, it should just pop up. That's not how it happens. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's take an example would be a house. Let's say you want to manifest a house. You're tired of renting. You've been throwing your money down the drain to these landlords, and you have no equity. And in a time like COVID-19, where some people had equity in their houses and they were out of work, they were able to get HELOC loans against their equity in their property, and they were able to sustain themselves even without income because they were able to take money out of their property and utilize that for survival. Okay. It would have been a great time to have that equity. So, you're saying, I want to be better prepared for the future, for next time. I want something that I can leave to my kids in case I pass away, and so forth and so on, that they can live in, and whatever it is. Now, you have to know what kind of house you want to manifest. You have to know everything about this house. So that means that you've got to do a few things. You can't just say, I want a house. Or I want a 4-bedroom house. That's it. I want a 4. And it needs to manifest. It doesn't work that way. Here's the process, guys. Here's the advanced manifestation technique. The first thing is coming to the realization that you want a house, right? Now you've got to visualize in your mind. You got to create light waves of the house that you want to manifest. You already have a pretty good idea. Everybody has their style and their taste to what they like. Some people like modern. Some people like Mediterranean style. Some people, like contemporary style homes. There's various different styles of houses out there. You're going to have to pick the one the one that, resonates with you the most. You start envisioning these in your mind consciously. You're envisioning these properties that you like. You haven't seen one yet, but in terms of going to visit one, but you've already envisioned the style, the look. I like these kind of kitchens. I like these kind of doors. I like this kind of elevation or this type of trim on the inside and outside. I like this size yard. I don't like yards too much. I don't really care. I like 2-car garage. I like a 1-car garage. I don't even need a garage. It depends on all about you. Okay. Now you're now creating these electromagnetic waves of light that are resonating and going out into space-time and synchronizing with the universal consciousness. So you have to be operating at a high frequency when you're trying to manifest. You need to be in a mindset of unconditional love. That's for every being in the universe, not just one race of people, not just one specific group of people, for all entities. All entities, forget people, for all entities in the entire universe, resonating at an unconditional love. And what does that mean? You have the capability of blessing every being in the universe. The power for you to bless every being in the universe is inside of you. The power for you to have compassion and empathy for living animals and different species of insects is inside of you. Prime example, you might see some kind of bug in your house, okay? You might have opened the door and a bug might have flew in. Instead of chasing it down with a broom, trying to destroy it and kill it and smash it, taking a shoe and trying to smash its guts out, how about you take that same energy and have empathy and try to capture it in a cup and then let it free outside, back to do its thing again. That's what I'm talking about. That's a high resonating frequency vibration. That's a level of unconditional love that most people can't tap into. You're resonating with that. You're operating at that level. You're having empathy for everyone. Even if somebody has wronged you, it doesn't mean you're hanging out with them and being best buddies with them, but you can bless them and keep your distance. You can bless them and pray that they come to a realization of what they're lacking in their life and find the improvement. You can even command it. I command that these people at some point in their time wake up to their true calling and wake up to their true potential and realize who they truly are. You can even call that out verbally. Those are all putting you in such a high frequency mindset. You're walking with power. You're imbued with power. You know the power and the energy that's inside of your body. You understand the light frequencies and the DNA resonant frequencies. And now you're thinking about this house and you're speaking it. I command that I obtain a new house. I command that I obtain a new house. You're not going to beg and pray for this house like in a way where you're hoping and wishing, oh, please, I need a house and I just want to get this house. And if I get this house, I'll be good. And garbage, pure garbage, guys. That kind of praying and begging and hoping and wishing is a waste of energy, and it's a low frequency and low vibration. Because if I put that same cap that you saw in an earlier video on your head and connect it to a computer, I would find out that you were operating at a low frequency when you were in a begging, pleading mode versus being in a I command mode. And it doesn't mean it's ego. It means you understand the divine energy and spark that's already in your body, and you are an aspect of that main one consciousness, and the energy and the power that created this entire universe is inside of your body. And now you are literally commanding things into existence, into your reality tunnel. It's power. It's not ego. It's power. It's understanding this is what you're here to do. Like the Bible says, if they read it, ye are gods. And we're supposed to do greater things than Yeshua did. He said it himself. You guys are supposed to do way bigger things than me. I'm just, a template, basically. We're not living up to that potential, but now everybody on this will. You'll understand the power that you operate and you walk in. And you're going to think about this house. You're going to be in unconditional love mindset. You're going to be focused on positivity. You're going to be saying positive affirmations every single day. You're going to be focusing on this object. In this case, it's a house. It could be anything. It could be anything physical or non-physical. But in this case, we're talking about a house. What happens next is you start looking at houses in the two-dimensional. Remember I told you, the consciousness platform is light waves. Then it goes to two-dimensional. So what do? The next level is to look at houses on paper or in a magazine or on a computer. That's two-dimensional. So now you're surfing the two-dimensional platform, looking for something that tickles your fancy, that makes you feel like, oh yeah, I need to see this house. I want to see this house. So you get yourself a realtor, and or you may be one already, and now you're going to look at some of these two-dimensional platform houses in the third dimension. Eventually, looking at enough two-dimensional houses in the third dimension, you're going to find one that you really like. It just, something inside of you resonates with that house so much. It's like, I don't care if it's even a little extra. I just got to have this property, right? So now you may not have the money yet for that. But because you're going to go into your manifestation meditation, you're going to go into your macabre light meditation. We're going to talk about that in the next part. You're going to meditate. You're going to sit. You're going to meditate. You don't have to even be in the lotus position. You don't have to be in a meditation room. You can be in your shower. You can be in your kitchen. You can be on your couch. You can be sitting in a chair. You're focusing on the meditation of the house, but you're meditating on it in a way that's totally different than what people think of meditating. In this meditation, it's almost like a daydream in a way where you're physically, now that you know the one you want, you're actually living in the house. So your meditation now at this point isn't hoping and wishing. Your meditation is, I own it. I own this house. You're in the house. You're envisioning yourself coming home from a hard day's work, pulling up to the house, going inside, taking off your shoes, washing your hands. Nowadays, taking your mask off and throwing it in the trash or throwing it in the washing machine, depending on what kind of mask you have, and sitting on the couch and taking a deep breath, maybe going to the kitchen to get some food ready, whatever it is. But you're living in this house. This is in your meditation. You already own this. You might even have a housewarming party in your meditation. This is how powerful this is, and your thoughts are. You already claimed it. You already own it. And now you're walking around speaking it consistently, creating cymatic frequencies, which we're going to go over shortly. These cymatic frequencies are now also emanating through space-time, helping to collapse these two-dimensional platform objects into three-dimensional reality for you, okay? 1 second. So this is all part of the process that's required for advanced manifestation, okay? We're looking here at a brain cell, and we're looking at the universe. So as you zoom out from the universe, you discover that the universe is a gigantic brain with brain cells in it. The galaxies that are in the universe create the same exact format of a brain cell. It's as above, so below. So it's thinking, and you're thinking. The universe is conscious, and so are you, just like every planet is conscious as well. Everything in the third dimension is conscious. So because of this, you understand that your thoughts become reality, because the reality of the universe is this holographic matrix that we're living in. And that's all based off of thoughts. And this is how things manifest into reality. We're going to go a little bit deeper into this. Understand that everything is made up of atoms.